You do? Are you a what's your specific? You're a Muslim. Why are you a Muslim?
I've been raised as a Muslim and I believe in it as a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you believe in everything that was told you in regards to Islam. I am a Christian myself, and I sort of have the idea that Islam is a fabricated religion.
I've seen your debates as well.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I know you.
So what are your thoughts on that? Which particular ones did you see?
Quite a few. I can't remember any particularly to mind.
Yeah,
But I've seen quite a few of your debates.
yeah,
With Nami Hijab and
yeah.
Hashim and just a few others. Can't remember a few others.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, answers. I mean, one thing I'll say about you Christians and stuff, you ask questions which I do want to ask as well. I get answers from it, I learn a lot from both sides. But for me, it's one of them, I'm always going to be a Muslim. I'll always believe in Islam.
Why is that?
Because it's the truth. Based on what I see with your debates as well, I can never be convinced otherwise.
Okay, so let me show you a simple picture.
Is it going to be the Birmingham manuscript?
No, not Birmingham manuscripts. This is a different one. So, this is a simple picture. Timeline. Muhammad died 632 AD. The first of the biographies that we have on Muhammad, it is claimed. I'm sticking with Islamic narrative. I'm not even questioning the Islamic narrative. The first of the biographical works that we have access to is from Ibn Hisham. That comes 200 years later. Few more years, a couple of decades later, or a decade or so later, comes Sahih al-Bukhari, the earliest of the hadith sources. This is again based on Islamic tradition. I'm going by face value of what is being claimed. If you go with actual evidence, even this will not stand.
How come? What's your claim?
Because the earliest of manuscripts for Sahih al-Bukhari comes several centuries later.
So you say, so is your argument essentially that the Quran mustn't be the truth because it come late after? You mean the formation of it with Sahih Bukhari and the?
Yeah, my primary argument right now is this: Islam as a religion was a later day fabrication. You believe in late sources, but there are some early sources you could go to, like epigraphy, like writings, rock inscriptions, like coins that were used in the early supposed Islamic period. You could use coins, epigraphies. You could go to mosques which were built early on. Yeah, you could go to any of these, and you will find out they contradict what is given to you as Islam later on. So we have a problem. The early artifacts give you a different story. The later artifacts give you a different story. And the story that you follow is the later story. So I'm not even asking the question whether it comes from wherever you think it comes from. I'm just saying whatever you believe about the Quran comes from later sources. Now let me ask you a simple question about Muhammad. So you know roughly about Muhammad?
I'm a lay Muslim. I'm not the most educated on like Islam.
No, I'm not looking for the most educated Muslim.
Okay.
I'm looking for a Muslim.
Okay.
Someone who is bold enough to stand here and say,
The cameras are just placed on me, so I thought, okay.
yeah. So when I say bold enough, someone who is willing to say that I will never leave Islam, which is what you said just 5 minutes ago. So in other words, someone who is convicted enough, convinced enough to even say, I'll follow this forever. That's the one I'm looking for. Lame ones, you're either lame or you're convicted. You can't be both.
I'm lay as in,
Lame.
I'm not the most knowledgeable on my religion in terms of I don't know everything like let's say people who are like scholarly or Muhammad Hijab or maybe people who have like certain education in different criterias. But I consume like this, I do view it. I come to my own conclusions based on what I view.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I can regurgitate what they say. I'm not an expert on these academic fields. Whereas you might be an expert on the Bible, yeah. I'm not an expert on the Quran because I don't study the Quran. Whereas you study the Bible, don't you?
So this is the challenge. This is the challenge. You know what. So for someone who doesn't know enough to be able to discuss, you know what your disposition should be in relation to following the religion. You should be ideally saying, I actually don't know. Anytime I know some information to the contrary, I'm willing to leave Islam. That's what you should be saying. But if you're going to say you won't leave Islam, I'm assuming you are convinced enough, you have details enough to not leave Islam. So choose one of these two things. Do you know enough to take a lifelong decision, or don't you?
Yeah, I know enough, but it doesn't mean I know enough in terms of to regurgitate into a discussion. Like whereas you are practiced in terms of debating. This is my first time.
No, but if you no, right now, with all the information you know,
yeah.
Are you going to say you will never leave Islam? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah,
okay, so right now, with all the information you have.
No matter what you present, no matter what anyone presents, I'll never leave.
Yeah, so right now, with all the information you have.
Well, always.
Yeah, so the question is, right now, the same person that I'm speaking to right now, who doesn't want to leave Islam, I'm assuming you have enough information to be convinced not to leave Islam. Forget about it, the information you can't present today. I'm only talking about what you can present today. So present to me, based on that, speak to me please. And then my question is, how do you know anything about Muhammad? Historical Muhammad.
Here's the thing, I know based on what other people say, scholarly opinions, things like this. Doesn't mean that I know everything you do. You look into the hadith, you read the hadith.
I'm not asking you if you know everything.
But you ask me
I'm asking you what you know. Specifics. Get to the specifics. What do you know about Muhammad?
He was the last messenger.
On what basis do you consider that the person called Muhammad was considered the last messenger? On what basis are you saying that?
Because in the Quran it says.
So the Quran says that Muhammad is the last messenger. Which portion of the Quran says the Muhammad you? So who is the Muhammad you have in your mind when you say that he is the last messenger?
The one that's mentioned in the Quran, there's no other Muhammad.
There is very little mention about Muhammad in the Quran. I don't know if you are aware of that. Very little. There are only 4 verses which even uses the name Muhammad. And even in those 4 places, it's not clear whether it uses that as a name or as a title. It's not clear.
So
only four references. And I'd like to understand from you, one second. I'd like to understand from you, my challenge to you would be, based on those 4 references, details in those 4 places, you simply cannot construct the historical person of Muhammad. You simply can't.
Okay.
So I'd like to know from you, on what basis do you construct the person, the historical person? Where do you construct the idea of the historical person of Muhammad from?
Like I said, the Quran. Even if
In the Quran, only 4. Which one?
Doesn't matter if it's only 4. It's still mentioned because I believe it's the word of God.
No, what do you get from the Quran? Please tell me. What
I haven't
specific?
read the Quran in a while. Like I said, I'm a bit of a lay Muslim. I haven't read it in a while, but I still believe in it.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. Hey, okay, how are you doing? Good to see you.
It's like, for example.
Let me ask you a simple question. Do you believe in the person who is standing behind you? Don't turn around. Without turning around, do you believe in the person standing behind you?
What do you mean by that?
Well, exactly. I'm asking you. Please answer my question. Is that question answerable? Can you answer?
There is a person behind me, yeah.
No, I'm asking you a question. Answer my question. I'm not asking if there is a person behind you. I'm asking you, do you believe in the person who is standing behind you?
What kind of question is that?
Why is that a silly question or what?
Yeah, a bit of an insensitive question.
Why?
Because you're asking me whether I believe in a person behind me. It's like, well, whether I do or not, it's got nothing to do with my
No, you're now beating around the bush.
No, you're
The simple point is, you simply cannot answer the question whether you believe in the person behind you. You know why? Because you don't even know who is behind you. That's the simple answer.
I can just turn around.
Well, you can, but before you turn around, you don't even know who is standing behind you. In other words, without knowing the details, you can't say you believe in someone. You simply can't. And that's where I'd like to know, what does the Quran? You need to know. Don't tell me you believe in Muhammad or the Quran. I'd like to know what you know about the Muhammad or the Quran.
You asked me, and I said before, I don't know much about him.
In something that you don't know, you can't believe in, can you?
No, not necessarily. Okay.
How can you believe in something you don't know?
I never said I don't know it. I said I don't have enough knowledge of it.
So how much knowledge you have? Tell me what you have.
When I say I'm a lay Muslim, it doesn't mean that I don't know nothing about my religion. I know enough. I consume enough content to where I know if any questions need be, I need to ask. I go to the correct places, correct scholarly opinions.
My dear friend, what's your name?
Billy.
Billy, I'm asking you a simple question. You're giving me the same statement over and over again. I'm asking you a simple question. I'm not asking you if you know all of the Quran. I'm not asking you. Listen to me, Billy, please.
I am.
I'm not asking you if you know all about the Quran. I'm asking you, do you know some things about the Quran? Especially, do you know some things about the Muhammad of the Quran? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm saying I know some things, but some things.
Please tell me what you know.
But you're asking me my knowledge.
Exactly.
But I said to you, I don't have enough knowledge to present.
I'm not asking you if you have enough. I'm asking you what you have.
We're asking you what I have.
Exactly, which is not the same as enough. I am not making a qualitative judgment of whether you know enough or not.
If I don't,
I'd like to know if you know anything at all or not. What do you know about Muhammad of the Quran?
He's the last messenger.
No, but about the what details do you glean from the Quran? Just that?
Like I said, I haven't read it in a while, so I can't recall it. I can't recall much. How can I recall and say stuff to you if I haven't gone to the text in a while?
In other words, you don't know that today.
Yeah, today I don't know it. Today.
So what you don't know, you can't believe in.
No, I still believe in it, even if I don't know it.
What kind of is that called brainwashing? What do you know?
For example, let me ask. If this conversation you're interrogating me about Islam, if you want a conversation, it goes two ways, yeah?
Two what?
Two ways. It's a conversation. A conversation
Absolutely.
is two ways. But you're interrogating me. Yeah. That's not a conversation. That's an interrogation. You come with me. You come with an agenda towards me, saying I can't believe in something if I don't know enough.
Yeah, that's a simple point.
No,
whether I'm interrogating you or not, the point I've made is still a logically valid point. The point I'm making is what you don't know you can't believe in. And I've given you multiple opportunities and I'll ask you again.
For example,
I'll ask you again.
For example, it's like an atheist. You ask or an agnostic. Why are they an agnostic? They don't believe in. They're not sure whether there's a God. So, but yet they're still an agnostic. So how can you sit there and say, oh, they shouldn't believe in what they believe in because they don't know what it is.
If your point is there could be unreasonable agnostics also, if that is your point, I don't know how that saves you. In your case, you are saying you are willing to believe in something you don't know. That's what you're saying.
No,
I'm suggesting to you that that's not a good thing. You need to know before you believe in it.
If you're having a conversation, you have a conversation.
I'm trying to have a conversation.
No.
Whether it's
an interrogation.
Interrogation interrogation is a conversation.
Not necessarily, because a conversation.
You
goes
may
both
not like
ways.
the conversation.
No, a conversation goes both ways.
No, that's a dialogue. A conversation.
But you come to me. I was just stood there. You come to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy, is your concern purely that you are cornered? Is that your concern?
What?
In our conversation, I'd like to think the main concern that you should have after what I've asked and after the fact that you weren't able to answer my question, the main concern, the most important concern you should have is how come I don't know yet I follow? That should be your most important concern. Yet, that's not your most important concern.
I don't know nothing about it. I know enough about the religion of Islam. You're asking me specific to Muhammad. I know about Islam in general. In general, I believe.
Okay, so what else do you know about the Quran? What other historical background?
I don't know much about historical background. All I know is.
So in other words, you don't know if Quran comes from a historically valid background or not?
It was revealed to Muhammad.
How do you know that?
Because it says so.
Because it says so?
Same way you believe in your religion because it says so. Why?
No, that's not that. No.
It's a conversation. What? If you want to compare that question, why do you believe in Christianity? Let's have a dialogue. Why do you believe in Christianity then?
Okay, I believe in Jesus Christ because I can clearly use unbiased historical artifacts, historical evidence to establish the veracity or the historicity of Jesus Christ. I can get verified that he was a person. I can get verified that he started a new religion. That I can get verified that his religion was seen as an update to the Jewish tradition as the next step to that. I can give you details as to why the people who followed him, they were called the church. I can give you details as to why he was crucified, the fact that he was crucified, the fact that he was crucified under particular context, and the fact that the early followers of Jesus believed that he rose up from the dead.
Okay.
All of these I can establish through unbiased historical evidence. All of these I could do. And I'd like to, in other words, I don't believe in a vacuum. I don't believe in a blind, I don't like a blind belief.
Okay.
I like a reasonable belief.
Okay, so what you
so now coming to you.
So what you said is you believe on it based on the empirical evidence, the historical evidence, things that you believe are evidences to your belief, yeah?
Things that I can give details of which are
wait. I know what you're saying. Because there's certain evidences out there, you believe in what you believe. That's your reason behind it, and that is logical to you, yeah?
I don't know why you're using the term believe that. I'm saying no.
I said why you believe it. You said
let me repeat what I said.
I heard.
Let me repeat what I said. You clearly haven't heard what I heard.
I heard.
Let me repeat.
Go into that.
Let me repeat. I have evidence
By the way,
to back up.
a couple of minutes.
That's
so
fine.
Repeat,
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna head off. Yeah.
I have evidence to back up my belief.
Okay.
I have evidence.
Yes.
I can provide unbiased historical evidence. Because the evidence is solid, I believe in the historical person of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
So this is belief based on evidence.
Okay. Still a bell.
Sorry. How are you doing? Okay. Belief based on evidence.
Okay.
Now to you are talking about belief in Muhammad. I'm asking you, is that belief based on evidence?
Yes, there is an evidence.
What evidence have you got? So so tell me based on the Quran, what historical picture of Muhammad can you paint?
That he was the last messenger.
And that's the same thing you're repeating multiple times.
Look,
Like I said, there are four.
I read the Quran. If I read the Quran, I'll know my answers there. I told you from the
I'd
beginning.
like to know if you know it right now.
That's what I said at the beginning of the conversation. I don't know it right now.
So
But you're
right
saying
now,
to me-
so right now,
You're saying
right
to me,
now,
you saying to me, based on because of the fact that I don't know enough about my own religion, you're saying, well, you shouldn't believe in your religion if you don't know enough. That's your argument. But
no,
I'm
my
saying-
argument is this.
But that's what you said
At
to me
the
at the beginning.
point where you don't know, you should not be confident about that.
I'm always
At
going
the,
to be confident, no matter
you
what.
you always.
Always.
This is the brainwashing Islam
not.
does.
It's not.
When you don't know, you're not
friend,
supposed to believe.
Instead of talking to me, a person who doesn't know enough about my religion in certain parts, talk to an expert.
Billy, I just want to let you know, I will talk to an expert. I've tried to speak to all sorts of experts. But Billy, this is what I'd like to comment to you.
No, I'm going to get
This
out,
is,
yeah.
okay, this is what I'd like to
Nice
comment.
meeting you, yeah.
Good to see you, Billy. But I'd like to comment to you a simple point. What you simply don't know of, do not believe in. Well, absolutely. I gave you all the evidence. I said I can provide evidence. You should have challenged me on the evidence. So, so simple point is, Islam is a fabrication. The belief in Islam is based on cock and bull stories, not backed up by evidence. But the problem is, like how there was Billy here, millions of Muslims do not know the facts, yet are confident enough not to leave the religion. This is the classical definition of being brainwashed. Don't know, yet don't want to change my mind. Don't know, but don't want to change my mind. This is what Islam has done to people. And here at Speaker's Corner, we want to challenge people to see if they want to make sense. Belief commensurate with evidence is what we are looking for.